here's what I hate about relationships and social media. It's like people literally get so weird about social media. Like if you're in a relationship with somebody, if I'm in a relationship with somebody and whoever I'm with is telling me like, you can't like other people's stuff, you can't talk to other people, I don't want you doing this, I don't want you doing that, that is a reflection of their insecurity. Because if I'm with somebody and I need to be worried about you with another woman or with a group of friends, then you're not for me. If I feel insecure in our relationship, I know it's not my fault because I am a very secure woman in what I bring to the table, and I am well aware of my potential and my value. So if you're making me feel insecure, it's because of a lack of trust or genuinity in your character. And I'm not about to be with that. I'm not about to have that. I am not a controlling type. So if I'm with a man and he wants to be this, that, and the other with some other bitch, okay, go. Have her. You could have her, bye. Because I want somebody who's into me. So if I'm not doing it for you and that bitch is, go get her. Go get her, honey. Be my fucking guest. Because I don't want to be sitting here having to worry about somebody else being unfaithful. That's not healthy. That's controlling. Like if I'm going to be jealous, I'm going to be jealous because I'm like, oh, you got to go to that event and I couldn't go. Like that's the type of, like, when I say I'm jealous, it's like, oh my gosh, you got that. That is so cool. Like, I'm so happy for you. I want to get that for myself, but I'm not about to be a bitch who's like, oh, I am so jealous because da 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 da. There's a huge difference. And I wouldn't even call that jealous. I would be like, I'm like, that's like envious with like positive, like, hey, good for you. I wish I had that for me. Which is not about. So for me personally, I'm not about to chase anybody. I am not about to chase anybody. I'm not about to compete for somebody. No. If I have to compete for you, then you ain't for me. Because if I'm for you and you're for me, then we're just gonna vibe and naturally attract and wanna be in each other's environment and wanna be hyping each other up. And that's same with like friendships. That doesn't even have to mean intimately or in a romance relationship. That's just how I am in general. Like if I have to fight for your attention, then I don't fucking want it. Then I don't want it. If I have to buy followers, then I don't want them. I want people who genuinely are interested in what I have to share and what I have to say. Just like I want to be around people who I'm genuinely interested in or support or want to see win or am motivated by or inspired by or am fascinated by or just, think they're a cool person. I'm very straightforward. I'm not playing. I tend to get along more with men than I do women. Do some men have ulterior motives? Sure. Do some women have ulterior motives with women or men? I'm sure they do. But that doesn't make me one of them. And that doesn't mean that I should have to abide by rules because if you're friends with this guy, that guy wants to do you. Okay, well, I'm not gonna do him. I can still be friends with them. I can still be nice to them. Like, doesn't mean I'm gonna give it up. And if you don't know that about me and you're not secure enough in yourself and my relationship with you, whoever this individual is, then you're not right for me because I will not be controlled and told who I cannot talk to or interact with. I know myself. I'm cool. Like if I was in a relationship and I thought somebody was gonna get in between me and my person, I wouldn't get with them. Like I would take responsibility if I was in a relationship and I randomly came across somebody who I had great chemistry with. If I was really happy in my relationship, I would know to stay the fuck away from that other person because I wouldn't want them to hinder what I have with somebody. But if I'm not being satisfied with what I have, then I would just tell the person I'm with, like, hey, I'm not really sure anymore because I'm not feeling very satisfied with you. And I'm vibing with this person and it's making me wonder. I would openly communicate about it because that is a healthy thing to do. And then that gives the person I'm with the opportunity to reevaluate and we can reassess. And then we can either continue forward or I cut ties and I, move on. Because let's just be honest, you guys, so many people settle and they put up with this type of shit. And I'm not going to have that in my life. And here's the reason why. And I don't mean to say this selfishly, but it is a little selfish, but not in a negative way. It's because I care about my karma hygiene. I care about the karma I'm snacking up in my life. And so I'm not going to do anything that I wouldn't want done to me. So even if this person who I'm with is not going to show me the same respect, then I'm just going to be done with them. First of all, I'm just going to be done with them. And I'm just going to know, like, because if you're in a relationship with somebody and somebody starts acting like shady on you, they're showing you how they feel about either themselves or the relationship. So to me, that's a red flag and a like, okay, so if that's how we're going to play and you're going to be over there doing that and whatever, then I'm going to be able to do that also because that's fair. So if you don't want me talking to other people, then I guess you can't talk to other people, but you don't want that. Well, you don't get to have double standards with me, honey. I am not a dog to be owned. I am not a sex bot. I am not a whore. I am not a fucking prostitute. I'm not a hooker, okay? My body is artwork. I take great pride in who I am and who I'm becoming and what I'm creating for myself, for my image, for my brand, for my different business ideas. I take a lot of pride in that. You cannot put a price on that. You cannot own that. You cannot take that away from me. You cannot control that. And if you try to, you will be eliminated. That's simple. That's simple. Because I have thugged it out and lived in situations and have been uncomfortable and strapped on cash in so many ways that I have never imagined. And even then, I still am not about to fold for anybody. So if you're seeing somebody and y'all just fucking, unless you guys have had a conversation like, hey, we are legitimately together and you guys have announced that you are exclusive with one another, then do not assume that that person is with you. Just don't assume that. Don't assume that. Don't assume that because I personally love having friendships with benefits. Love it. I would prefer to have a relationship blossom out of a friends with benefits type of situation than it just be like straight into seriousness, because I'm not the type of person who's about to just like commit and throw everything in. I'm just not. I've been burned way too much. I know way too much psychology. I know way too much about human behavior. I know me too well, and I am not going to sacrifice what I want for my life ever again for anybody else who can't keep up. And here's what I've learned. This is why this scares people. You know why it scares people? Is because that means that I'm the type of woman that if you would like to be with me, you have to hold yourself to high standards and you have to become a great communicator. You have to become a human of quality, moral, ethical conduct and compass. You have to be on that level and that vibration that I hold myself to. And most people don't want to or can't. And that's okay. I'm not hating on anybody for it, but don't expect anything long-term or forever with me because of it. I mean, I have a lot of people that I will, still have care for. And I'm like, oh, I still wish the best for you. But you know what? We're not going in the same direction. And you're not keeping yourself to my level of quality. And then you're trying to drag me down and slow me down and change me so I can fit your lower quality. And I'm not down with that. All right. I'm not cool with that, homie. I'm not going to cut back on my workouts because you think it's too much. I'm not going to not get the face I want because you think it's this, that, or the other. I'm not going to stop pursuing the booty I want because you think my butt is just good enough. I'm not going to not get breast implants because you think my chest is fine how it is. Yeah, it's not bad how it is, but at some point, yeah, I want to get a little bit of a something to balance myself out. Yeah, my face isn't awful, but I want it to be perfect and even, and I want everything to be on point, and I don't want anybody in my life who's not like, fuck yeah, girl, let's get what you want. Fuck yeah, girl. I want somebody who's like, yeah, bitch, you want that? Go get it, girl. I don't want somebody who's on the other end trying to be like, oh, you don't need that, and trying to talk me out of shit. If you're trying to talk me out of what I want for my life, when I know what I want is good for me, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. I don't even understand relationships nowadays. Like, I'm like, if you're going to get in a relationship with somebody, these are things that should be discussed. These are things that should be discussed. What do you want long-term? What is your long-term goals? And, you know, there's always room for those things to change and grow, and they should. And that's why you should have, like, you know, regular conversations about life with your partner or whatever. But when people are so disconnected and they're living, like, I don't understand how people are in relationships and then they live like separate lives. I'm like, at that point, I'm like, that's just like friends to me. I'm like, I might as well just have a friend with benefits if that's the case. Like, that's not a fucking partner. It's not a wife or a husband, in my opinion. Like, what the fuck is that? It might as well just be my best friend who I fuck occasionally. Like, I'm fine with having that. I can do that all day long with anybody. Well, not anybody, but you know what I mean? I don't even want to get married now. And another thing is, I don't want somebody else's man. Like, if you're married and I think you're cool and I'm cheering you on or liking your post or whatever, I think you're a cool human. I think you're a cool human. Doesn't mean I'm going to try to steal you from your wife. Or if you're a woman and I'm like, your husband's this, that, and I'm giving you advice or you're asking me for my opinion, I'm not trying to break you guys up, but I'm just saying I wouldn't put up with that. I mean, you put up with what you want. Like, it's your relationship. You would know your relationship better than me. I don't know how you guys got into what you got into. I don't know how you guys got out of it. I don't know how you guys talked about it. I don't know what kind of conversations you did or did not have. I don't know about whose morals or values changed or how people are behind closed doors. I don't know any of that shit. So I'm not going to give you what you should do. These are my standards. And I hope that, like, with sharing this information, people can take from it what they need, because I know there's a lot of value in it, because I know. Same with, like, personal beliefs. Like, if people don't have the same belief systems, that'll be a problem one day. Like, if you have somebody who's like, I follow the rules of the Bible, and then you're with somebody who doesn't, like, I would never be right for somebody who's like extremely religious. I just wouldn't, because I'm never gonna tell my child to wait to get married to have sex. I do not believe in that. I also think that you should live with somebody before you marry them, because you find out a lot about two people when you cohabitate on whether or not you are compatible, or if you guys can get along and adapt. And, you know, a lot of people who lived alone for a long time, you know, you have your own way of doing things, and then you have to, are you going to be moving in with somebody who can adapt with you and can communicate and who isn't selfish and who also wants to grow? And also, like, all of this shit matters, and people do not think about this stuff. Everybody's just so focused on having a kid or getting, and people will be like, why are you still single? Because I have never prioritized a man. I have always prioritized my business so I can provide a roof over my head for myself and my child. I mean, I'm living where I don't want to be right now, but it's for reasons completely out of my control. I totally got screwed over. And I had identity theft. Oh my God, you guys don't even know the shit. But that's not what this is about. The point is like, I've always prioritized my business and being a parent and taking care of myself. And that's never gonna change. That always should be the priority. Like, I want to be with somebody who wants to show up as their best self. So I want to be with somebody who's taking care of themselves to be their best selves, because I don't want to be with somebody who's not their best self, because then they're not going to be their best them for me either. You know what I'm saying here? And here's the thing. A lot of times people will like break up with somebody and like years later they'll try to go back to them. And it's like, my honest, strongest belief is if it didn't work out the first time around, it's probably not going to work out the second time around. Like, it's just not. And it's one thing if you're just settling and you're not really looking for anything serious and it's just easy. And so many people do that. Like, how many people just stay with somebody because it's easy, it's convenient, it's satisfying like a certain area of their life, and they're just like content with it. Or even if they're not content with it, it's like they're not really looking for more in that moment anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Like, there's so many fucking scenarios and situations that I see with people to where now I'm just like, first of all, relationships are work. So I don't know. I'm not looking. I'm so focused. My goals are all business right now. Business, parenting, and self-love. And honestly, I don't even know. Like, yeah, when I was younger, I thought, oh, a wedding would be so great to have. But now I'm just like, I don't even care. Like, I don't care. I already have a child. I've already experienced it once. it didn't happen the way I wanted to. Like, my pregnancy was awful. My baby's daddy was the worst, extremely unsupportive. Just because somebody goes to a doctor's appointment does not mean they're actually supportive. And I mean, no. But I have a child. I love my son. I love being a mother. And people will be like, oh, well, what's going to happen when he turns 18? Well, I'm still going to be a mom. I'm still a mom. No matter what age my child is, I'm forever a mother. That will never be changed. I'm always going to be a mom. My son's still going to want a home to come to for holidays, for breaks. If he's in college, if he goes away to college, he's still going to want a home to come to. So no matter what, I mean, I'm always forever a mother. I'm always going to want what I want for myself and for my business. And now I just don't know if I, honestly, I mean, I believe that there can be really great, healthy relationships because I know the type of human I am, but I'm not in any place where I even am looking for that. Like, I'm just not. Like I said, I'm more of a friends that you can, have fun with and then, figure it out later. But right now, honestly, I'm just like, I'd be open to a business partner, but they'd have to really want and be passionate about what I'm passionate about and have a business partner to where it's like, I don't want to have a partner who's gonna be like two-faced or vicious. Anybody who talks shit about somebody, like there's a difference between, and this is another thing, there's a difference between talking shit and shooting facts to get a statement across or to clarify things or to use as an example. And anybody who is like a revenge seeker or I'm not a revenge seeker. I'm just like, you know what, pay child support because you want to look at my child as a piece of property. Don't pay child support. I don't care. Don't pay child support. I'm not going to take you to court. I don't care. I'm not going to take you to court. But you get no decisions in his life. You get no decisions in his life. But I'm not going to take you to court. You know why? Because it's not worth it to me. Like, if you don't want to help your child with food and clothes and sports, then that says more about you. And I'm not gonna be a mommy and drag you somewhere to make you do something. Same with a partner or like a boyfriend or even friends. Like, if you're my girlfriend or you're my friend and or my coworker or, a relative or a cousin or a sister or a brother or whatever, and you screw me over and I have to like drag it out of you and convince you to tell me what you did when you know what you did? No, just get out of my life. Get out of my life. Because you know what you fucking did. I'm not going to call you out for it. These bitches who fucked up my face, I'm not going to take you guys to court. It's not worth it. It's not worth it because then I have to invest time in finding an attorney. I've got to invest my time driving to fucking lawyers and to court dates and to it's not worth the time or the headache, and I'm not going to give you that for me. Same with my child. Like, if someone's going to try to take my child from me, you honestly think my child wants somebody else than me? I can tell you right now, he fucking don't. But I'm not gonna like compete with somebody over my kid. Like, if somebody tried to come into my life and try to like compete with, it's like, I'm not playing that game. Because one, that is not healthy for the child, nor is it healthy for anybody. Like, competing like that is not healthy. It's different if you're competing in a sport and the object of the game is a competition, but competing in life, to me, is just childish. And I don't personally find it healthy. Some people, it's motivating. And if it's motivating, great. But it's motivating because you're needing the validation to be better than something, is the way I kind of look at it. And I don't think that's healthy at all. I think people should find a way to be self-motivated for themselves because that lasts forever. And if you're self-reliant on other people to keep you motivated to be in the gym or to eat healthy, then you'll always fall into plateaus because you'll run out of that motivation eventually. So ultimately, it has to be for yourself. So if you can learn to find things that you love and you're really passionate about for yourself, then you have like, of course, there's always like a little bit of a plateau or things get boring or whatever. But like, if you really love it, like for me, like I really love working out. I really want the body I want the appearance I want. And it's not just for that. Like, I really want to live in a young, youthful body and have a functional body for as long as humanly possible. I would like to look as youthful as for as long as possible. I would like to look in the mirror and be like, oh bitch, you still look 23. I want to look it and feel it, because if you look that way and that's what you see, it creates a feeling of youthfulness inside. And psychologically, that creates a more youthful mindset of I'm still young and I can do things. Where people mess up is people start letting themselves go. What happens when you start letting yourself go? What happens when you start getting fat? You don't feel good all of a sudden. You look in the mirror, you're not happy. When you're not happy, you're not motivated to go out and do things. You're not motivated to put on clothes. You're not motivated to go out in public. You're not motivated to do this, that, and the other. So when you're not motivated to do any of those things, you don't. You don't. And then you start going downhill. And then your body goes downhill. And then your mindset goes downhill. And then your health goes downhill. And some people can never get it back. I don't want that for me. I definitely don't want that for my child. And I don't want that for anybody who really doesn't deserve or need that. Like, that's just not right. That's why I'm like, if men should get facelifts too. Men should get facelift too. Men should do whatever they need to do to make them feel good too. So should women. Everyone. Like, I would never be compatible with a man who's like, I just want to age and get old and I'm not really going to give a shit and I'm only going to work out like minimally. Like, a low effort human is not for me, because I am not a low effort human. I am very, it takes a lot of work to be me, and it takes a lot of work to be a lot of other people in the world. And I can respect and appreciate that. And I don't diss it or judge it at all. It's like a full-time job to take care of yourself if you're taking care of yourself in a high quality level. And, you know, fitness models, bodybuilders, anybody who's in that type of arena, they know the work it takes. And that's great, but you gotta be doing all the other things too, because then there's other people who just go so overboard with one thing that they don't balance out the rest. Balance is important. You have to have balance. You need balance. Without balance, like, people are like, oh, well, sometimes no, when things get off kilter, all hell falls apart. Like, you gotta balance everything as much as you can all the fucking time. It's like life, I feel like, is constantly a juggling act, and it's super important. And not everybody wants to be a lot of work. Some people just don't like putting in the work. That's okay too. And for a lot of men, that's great, because a lot of men, it's like, in my personal opinion, I feel like men look, you know, as men age and get wrinkles and stuff, I feel like it looks good on most guys. But on women, it doesn't really look good on a lot of women, in my personal opinion. But I'm not going to judge anybody for their own personal choices. But I still think everybody should be healthy and eat right and work out and stretch and have cardio and, you know, have a balance in their life. I'm on a rant here. But I don't believe anybody should sacrifice their health, their happiness, or their well-being, no matter what. I will never be a supporter of that. I will never be a controlling person. I don't believe in being controlling or possessive of other people. I don't think that's healthy. I'm not even a controlling parent. Parents always fuck up because they try to control their kids. You cannot control your fucking kid. Your kid is a little human. Your kid is a human like you're a human, who has their own wants and needs. So you need to ask your kid questions and figure out, what are your wants? What are your likes? What are your needs? What are your passions? How do you feel about things? What makes you show up as your best self? How do you feel most confident? That's what I ask my son. What do you want to wear? I always tell him, wear what makes you feel confident. That makes you feel confident? Wear it. I support it. That hairstyle makes you feel confident? Wear it. It's important to feel confident. So whatever makes you feel confident, then that's what you should wear. I don't care what it is. As long as you're confident, that's what matters. And that's just like, if when my son was little, he would want to dye his hair all these wild colors. And sometimes I was like, oh my God, he wanted it green so much. And I didn't like the green color on his hair, but he loved it. So that's what we did. You got so many parents who are grounding their kids and punishing their kids for the stupidest things. But I'm like, how about just building a relationship of respect and valuing them as little humans and actually showing genuine interest in what they care about and seeing where that gets you? Same with spouses. Same with your relatives. Same with your friends. Instead of judging them and doubting them like, oh, don't do that, bro. It's like, dude, what the fuck? Homeboy wants to roll in those fucking shoes. Let him fucking wear those fucking shoes. Why are you fucking knocking at him? What the fuck's your problem, dude? What, are you insecure? Well, you trying to cut him down a couple sizes to make yourself feel fucking better because what, are you fucking jealous? What, he works out and you don't, so what, you're gonna fucking talk shit? Man, shut the fuck up and get the fuck out of here. Ain't nobody got time for that negativity. Ain't nobody need that doubt in their life. Like, I was at the grocery store with my son, and this fucking kid, that my son has gone to school with for a long time, since elementary school, starts knocking on him because he's short. I'm like, well, he's taller now. Now he's finally taller than me. He's like, 5'7", 5'8" right now. But the guy, and this kid's like extremely tall. He's like 6'3" or something. And he's like, my 12-year-old sister's taller than you. And he's like talking shit. And I'm like, so what? Everybody hits growth spurts at different times, and he hasn't even hit his yet. Like, that doesn't mean anything. He's taller than me. So what? And he just kind of shut his mouth. And then, my son collects these stuffed animal things. I've seen grown men still buy fucking big ass teddy bears, okay? And this kid's like, is that a stuffed animal for your mom? And my son's like, no, it's for me. And then he goes to poke fun, and I looked over him, I was like, stuffed animals are cool at every age. And he looks at me and shuts the fuck up and is like, yeah, I guess you're right. It's like, dude, I'm sorry you're so insecure, and I can see your mother has let herself go. And he's such an ass sometimes. Like, he has said some of the rudest shit on Zoom calls. Like, they were on Zoom calls over, what was it, COVID, when kids were like, they did like a friend hangout on Zoom, and a bunch of the kids like did a Zoom call, and I would listen. I would jump in on there and call people out because I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these kids? Like, no. And I would tell my son, do not let them fucking talk shit to you. He's like, well, I know, they just don't know better. I'm like, okay, so now at that point, my son's the overeducated person who knows that these kids are just complete dumbasses and just ignores them and chooses not to engage, which is incredibly intelligent and is mind-blowing, by the way. But it pisses me off because I'm like, you got to stand up for yourself a little bit and call them out a little bit, or they're going to keep fucking coming at you, kid. Now he's at the point where he is and he gets it, because I was worried for a minute there. I'm like, because I was like that too when I was younger. I'd be like, oh, this, like, even with teachers in high school, I would be so pissed off because I'm like, this teacher is coming in here with every excuse to why she's got a substitute all the fucking time, and I've got more issues from the fucking mom I live with, because she's a fucking nightmare. I've got more, and I ended up dropping out of school for a while, for a half a semester, because I was like, I moved out because I was like, I'm not about to live with this toxic bitch. But that's another story. But the point is, it's like, I've always been that person who's just like but I've always educated my son to like see beyond things, which I'm super proud about, because I'm not trying to get my kid, like, being a bully is just not fucking cool. Like, it's not cool. There's a difference between having a little fun and talking shit, and actually having a little fun and talking a little bit of shit that's like in a giving you a hard time way, and actually just being a fucking jerk and trying to make somebody doubt themselves. Like, somebody who's like picking on somebody, being like, oh, you have a big head, like, I don't care who the person is. Like, you could be a band member, and eventually that's going to affect you a little bit psychologically. People don't understand that. It's like, come on, guys. Everybody has some sort of insecurity. How about recognizing that? And I always teach my son, like, it's actually cooler when you can be positive and cheer somebody on and be a loyal human with fucking quality character than it is to be a dirtbag who thinks they're fucking awesome because they talk shit and they fucking drink on the weekends. Because really, that's really not cool. Sorry. That's not cool. That's not cool. And I know it sounds weird, but I always tell my son, like, there could be the most successful rapper or actor or whatever, doctor or whatever, I don't care how much money you have or what your title is. If you are an unhealthy human, if you are not strong, if you are not fit, If you don't hold yourself to quality standards, if you are toxic, then you are not worth it for me. You are not worth it for me. Unless you're gonna pay me like 30 grand for a date, I don't want to ever date you. And I'm not saying I'm selling myself for dates, but I'm just making a point here. Like, quality is so much more important than involving yourself with toxicity, because that will eventually affect your mental health and affect your life and your reality. And that very much matters. That very much matters. So I rather, be genuine and let my genuinity shine and be the vibrant, positive person I want to be, have the quality standards I want to have, and find real, genuine people to, network with or collaborate with or just cheer on in a positive way, then and that's another thing. It's like, if people are cheering you on and you're not acknowledging them, don't be upset when you lose them. Don't be upset if you lose followers if you don't acknowledge and appreciate them. It's a gift to have a following on social media. It's a gift. And if you're not doing right with your gift, then you really shouldn't have it. You should be positive, and you should treat that, and just like people who are hating on trolling on comments, it's like, why are you doing that? Are you jealous? That's not nice. Like, I want to see everybody be successful and win. I genuinely do. I want to see couples win. I want to see couples stay together and regain their love life, which is another reason why I like twerk Pilates, because, if you take that down when I go down the intimacy path with that, for my plans with it, I hope it rejuvenates a lot of relationships, because it sucks when I see relationships where it's like, man, that couple was so hot at some point, but like, what happened? And sometimes people just get bored in the bedroom, and then people end up cheating. That sucks, and I always think about that, because too, I'm like, God, I don't want to get married if that's what's going to happen. Like, I don't want to get married and be with someone for like 15 years and then just like have no more like lust or passion. Like, oh, no, thank you. Like, I don't want to be in that position to where you feel stuck. I was in a position where I felt stuck before, and I was miserable. I don't ever want to be in that again. And I was in a position where people held money over me, and I don't ever want to be in that position again. And I was in a position before where I didn't pay rent, and like my baby's daddy, he paid the rent, but I did all the cooking and all the cleaning, and I scrapbooked all of our lives and every single adventure, like old school scrapbook, like, and did all these things for his daughter. And I was also still trying to model, and I was very young. I was like 19, and he was like totally against it. And I was boxing, and then all of a sudden he didn't want me to box because some guy gave me gloves. They gave me a brand new pair of boxing gloves because I was tight on money, and they knew I wasn't making a lot of money. And I was always a nanny growing up. I always was a nanny, and you don't make a ton of money as a nanny, but I love children, so I was always a nanny. I like practically raised my nieces and was like a mother to all of them more than their parents were. So he just jealous and insecure, and he was like, didn't want me running anymore, didn't want me going to the gym anymore. Stupid, and I just stopped. God, I was so dumb. I was young and I was dumb, and unfortunately, I grew up with toxic parents who had my mother had this type of controlling pattern, and so I didn't recognize it, and to me, it was familiar, which is a sign of, they call it trauma bonding. So a lot of couples get into relationships because of trauma bonding. So if you have the same type of trauma as somebody, it can bond you with them, but sometimes that's not the best coupling. Sometimes it's fine if that's like how you meet somebody and you guys connect, as long as you have other things that are in common and you're like seeking the same goals and the same outcomes and the same belief systems and this, that, and the other. Especially when it comes to parenting, like that is so important. If you don't think about that ahead of time, can be a huge deterrent and become a huge problem. All very important things that I wish I would have known, that I know now, that I feel obligated to share with the world. Because I'm like, man, if I would have came across some of these podcasts and listened to the things that I know now, like, God, I would have made different situations or different choices during some of the situations I was in. But it is what it is. I'll tell you what, I started my self-help journey, like, I would say I started the first pick up books and really get into everything when I was like 22 is when I really started reading self-development books, and everything started changing for me. But once I listened to Tony Robbins' Get the Edge disc program, it was like 8 CD-ROMs or something like that. Like, that transformed my life, and my life has never been the same since. I'm so grateful that I listened to that, because I actually had at the time, one of my friends' stepdads, like, he like found it for me on like Napster and like downloaded it for me or something, because I didn't even have the money to buy it. And I was so fucking grateful, because you know what, I was like, at that time I was living in a townhome. I had a salon in my basement, and my son was in kindergarten half day, so he was only school half a day, and I was doing everything on my own. I cut my entire family out of my life successfully for a few years. I was so happy about that, you know. But then my uncle died, so I kind of like had to talk to them again, which was super upsetting. And then I was like, oh, they were acting so different. I thought they changed. But then, you know, after a few years, it was like, no, they didn't change. It was them back to their shitty ways and trying to bring, it's like, why is it that toxic people who are unhealthy are always hating on people because they're fit and they're healthy and they're happy, and they're like, hey, don't smoke around the kids, and then you're gonna call me a stupid fucking bitch or a fucking cunt because I'm telling you not to smoke around a child? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't give a fuck if you want to kill yourself. Go fucking kill yourself with your cigarettes. But do not put secondhand smoke in front of these little children who don't need your toxic smoke. Like, that's not okay. And don't call me a bitch because I'm being a mindful adult and doing my job as a human and being a voice of reason. And then, of course, they all get mad and then they all start talking shit about me. Oh, don't be stuck up. I'm not being stuck up. You shouldn't smoke around kids. Common fucking sense. Even when I was a smoker at one point, because I was a smoker, I grew up with smokers, and I'm not proud of it, but you know, it was like cool then, and I hid it from a lot of, I was like, I hung out with so many different types of people. Not everybody knew I would smoke, because it was like mostly a social thing, until it became like where I was nicotine dependent for a while, and then I always tried to, and then like, you know, I tried to quit multiple times, and I always hid it from a lot of people. And then the more and more I got into fitness and working out and running again, because I kind of got out of that because of the circle of friends I was hanging out with, the more and more I got back into my fitness really heavily, the more I was like, I was just like really easy to quit at that point. But the point is, it's like, I understand, but even then, I never smoked around my kid. Never. I refused. Never. I was always outside, very much away from my child. Like, he didn't know. I refused. And I didn't want him to grow up with a mother who smoked. So I quit. And then as my son got older, because I used to enjoy marijuana, as my son got older, which I also never smoked marijuana around my kid or in the house around my child. And as my son got older, I was like, I don't want him to pick up this habit in high school because his brain's not even done functioning yet. And I smoked a lot of pot in high school. And I didn't want that for him. I wanted a different path for him. So I just was like, I'm just gonna quit. So I just stopped. and the same with drinking. I was like, well, I don't want him to grow up to be an alcoholic. And, you know, a lot of my relatives were just all playing drinking games at every family gathering. And I'm just like, and then they're letting the kids play beer pong with water. And I'm like, I don't want to teach my kid to grow up and be like a beer pong player. Like, that's not setting a healthy example. And I'm like, you know, here and there, okay, I could understand like for a celebration, but I don't want my child thinking that like every single time people get together, we all need to get plastered. Because even though the kids are drinking water, all the adults are getting plastered, which I'm not a person who's going to hate on drinking, but at the end of the day, it's still fucking poison. It's still toxic. It's still bad. And then people are driving home and acting like fucking idiots and fights are breaking out. And that's when I'm just like, okay, no. Teaching it responsibly, I don't think that's bad at all. But being responsible about it is super important, and educating your child. Like, my son has seen me buzz like maybe 3 or 4 times. And every time it's like, he's like, you know, there's a conversation about it. Like, you know, he knows I'm not into it like big time because of, I teach it from a health standpoint. I'm not going to say I'm never going to drink again because, like I've told him, like, you know, it's one thing if you're on vacation and you want to have some mimosas and, you know, you have no responsibilities, but going out and drinking every weekend, in my opinion, is not healthy. And it's not something I personally want to do. I don't like to feel like crap for 3 days afterwards. I don't like to have a slower workout the next day. I don't like to feel a little lethargic. I don't like interrupted sleep. There's just not enough payoff for me personally. And I don't feel like it, I feel like it hinders my success with my diet and my training. So that's really the main reason, because of course I enjoy a little buzz, but I'm not trying to have the negative side effects of it. So for me, I'm like, yeah, wedding, cool. Vacation, cool. Huge event, cool. But I'm not gonna get wasted. Like, I'm gonna drink plenty of water and make my workout the next day, unless I'm like on some fucking crazy bachelor weekend in Vegas. But even when I was on the crazy bachelor weekend when we went to Vegas, I still stayed on my shit. I still prepped my meals and brought my food and only ate out like twice. I still did all of that. I still got up every day and did my fasted cardio before I went and laid out at the pool. I still had my drinks during the day, but I still did everything like I would normally do. I can do both. I'm very well capable. So I hate when people are like, I just am not willing to, I don't like to feel like shit. So that's just me. But anyways, I educate my son about being smart and making healthy choices and explaining to him like, yo, your brain is not done developing. So don't fuck it up right now. Like, your only job right now is to go to school and get good grades and try to pursue what you want in life. And you don't have to work right now. So take advantage of that and enjoy being a child. And don't fuck up your brain right now. Because if you want to, you know, try this or that as you get older, when you can make a mature decision about it and your brain's undeveloping, do what you want to do. But don't do it now. Anyways, I could go on and on about this topic because I'm very passionate about it. But I'm going to eat my breakfast and then I'm going to go do some more yoga. I'm going to do some more yoga. I'm going to do some twerk Pilates, and the sun is not out. It was raining here, so it doesn't look like I'm going to catch any rays out on the deck, which is fine. I'm going to get a longer workout in the gym. New content is going to be uploaded for my fan sites. Right now, on one page, I've already got something, and, you know, 11:11. Y'all know, 11:11, 1:1, 1:11, 2:22, 3:33. Those are the times. Those are the times I like to post up at. So check it out. New good stuff coming. Toodles. Anyways, I could go on and on about this topic because I'm very passionate about it. But I'm going to eat my breakfast and then I'm going to go do some more yoga. I'm going to do some more yoga. I'm going to do some twerk Pilates, and the sun is not out. It was raining here, so it doesn't look like I'm going to catch any rays out on the deck, which is fine. I'm going to get a longer workout in the gym. New content is going to be uploaded for my fan sites. Right now, on one page, I've already got something, and, you know, 11:11. Y'all know, 11:11, 1:1, 1:11, 2:22, 3:33. Those are the times. Those are the times I like to post up at. So check it out. New good stuff coming. Toodles.